I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
No, I'm Batman.
No, you're not. Hey, how are you? How are you,
I'm doing
David? How
great.
are you? How's it going?
Oh, it's great. It was a little stuffy in there, but always good to be in the mask. How you doing today?
I'm really good. I'm really good, and I'm really happy to have you here today with us. For the people that are coming to this live session, welcome. If you don't know who this guy is, he is the Batman himself. So he is most known for he has made a lot of movies, but he's most known for the role he played on Gotham, the series, playing Bruce Wayne. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Really happy. We are really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I brought some. I saw your Funko Pop, so I got jealous. I brought some of my own.
Let me see. Oh,
Batman. They can always go fighting each other.
yeah, they are. So people that are here, they maybe don't know, but doesn't know. But you were here in Colombia a couple of years ago, on Comic Con Colombia. So tell us a little bit about how was your experience here in the country.
It was awesome. I loved Bogota. I was unfortunately only able to be there for like 3 days. It was an insanely quick trip, but it was also so much fun. I spent most of my time at the convention at Comic Con Colombia, which was a great time. The fans there are just unbelievably passionate, always, and so excited to have anything to do with the Batman canon. And it's so contagious when you're there. It gets me, like, it really brings out the inner kid in me, and just gets me so hyped to be a part of Gotham and to be part of this world. And beyond that, Bogota is such a beautiful city, with so much diversity within it. We went to the Gold Museum, I remember, which was insane. Like, the history there is just so cool. I come from Los Angeles, where like the furthest history we get is like from the 1920s. It's like, it's just not really history. So
it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember that I was there too, and I don't know if we have the chance to go to the Monserrate, the mountain.
The mount. Oh no, the right next to the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, but we didn't get a chance to go up. We didn't have time. I was literally there for 3 days. Like, every minute I was like doing something else. Like, we were maximizing our time.
That's true. That's true. And about the food, you love the food because it was pretty good. Pretty good.
The best food. I remember we went to this restaurant with Chandler Riggs and yeah, and they had these drinks on fire, like all these insane cocktails.
And they have something like on ice as well. Yeah.
So impressive and so good, so yummy.
It was crazy. Okay, so let's begin. I'm really happy to hear that you have a great experience here in the country. Now let's begin with Gotham. So I don't know how old were you at that time? Like 12 years?
I was 12 when I booked it. I was 13 when we started shooting.
You were 12. So tell us a little bit about the casting process for this role. How was it, and how was it when you got the call? Like, when they told you were going to be Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, it was insane. So it was a really long casting process, to be honest. I auditioned for the first time when I was 12. It was like mid-December, so right before everyone took a couple weeks off for Christmas break, and so I didn't hear anything for a couple weeks. I kind of just forgot about it, and then in January I get a call. They want you to come back for a callback. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I had an 102-degree fever, so I was like, "Oh no, this is not good." But I'm gonna do my best anyway. I went in. I guess I did a good enough job. They called me back again, and they ended up calling me back like 4 or 5 times within the course of like a week and a half. Like, every other day, I would just go in again and test against somebody else. And then, like, a couple months later, we found, like, I knew I was close for a long time, and it was super, like, stressful. And but eventually, I got the call that I got it, and the call went, "You booked it, and you need to be on a flight to New York tomorrow." It was that quick. So yeah, it all happened so quickly. But I'm obviously so fortunate. And it was just an insane time in my life. Yeah, like, when I think back on it, finding out that you're gonna play Bruce Wayne is just not something you're ever gonna forget.
And do you remember how it felt like when they told you you're going to be Bruce Wayne? We need you on the plane right now. How was that feeling?
Just like honestly relief, because it had been months at that point where I was so close to getting it, and like it could have gone either way, and I knew I was really close for a long time. So like I was just so happy that I did it, you know, that I finally got it. It was finally official, you know. And I was getting on a plane, and I was going to do it. It was excitement.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now I have to ask you something, because you are one of the people who has been playing the role of Bruce Wayne the longest. Tell us a little.
So cool and like weird to think about.
The what?
I said it's so weird to think about that, like. But sorry, continue with your question. Finish your question.
How many years? How many years was it?
It was 5 years. It's 5 years. And like it's just strange for me as a fan now, because like now that there's like it's been a couple years since we stopped shooting the show, at least. There's definitely like some distance between me and it. And I'm kind of left just being a huge fan of this universe, because I became such a fan for Gotham. I did all the research that I could, read every comic book, watched every movie. The Snyder Cut just came out. I was so excited to see it. Like, I'd love to talk about it with you. I thought it was so much better than the 2017 version. The Justice League, you know, as they say. But anyway, I have so many thoughts on that. But I'm kind of just left as a fan, and so it's so cool for me like now to like be really excited when I see that, you know, the new Justice League is out, and then think to myself and love every moment of the live action Batman, and then think to myself, wow, like I was in those shoes for 5 years. Like that's pretty cool to reflect on.
And it's really crazy as well, because you're part of the universe. You're part of the DC universe. So yeah, talking about that, you are one of the people who has been playing this role the longest. So, and you already mentioned a little bit that you read the comics and this, but tell us a little bit about the construction of this character. Who was your inspiration? And because we are used to see the history of the Batman, like when he's grown up, but on the series, we're watching the history of little Bruce Wayne. So how was this process of creation for the character?
To be honest, it didn't feel like the creation of a character. It really felt like I did something in the audition. They obviously responded to it. The writing, like what was like required of my character was so clear in the writing, and just with like the creative heads of the show. And in addition to that, like I really I felt like I didn't like, what I'm trying to say is that at 12 years old, when I first booked this, I didn't feel like I had to create a new Bruce Wayne. I didn't even like, I was just 12. So I didn't even think about that. Like that thought never even crossed my mind. I never felt that kind of pressure. It was just like, okay, I'm going to play this role. And then as the years went on, and I got personally as a fan, got more and more into the comics, and like wanted to see certain things like be justified from the comics on the screen. And I had the power to do that. That was when it was really cool for me to like kind of bridge those two worlds. I remember distinctly like going into like season 4 and season 5, but especially going into like season 4, I really wanted Bruce to like grow up in the sense and like establish that kind of brilliant stoicism that he holds like in something like the Court of Owls. I really wanted to bring like that the Court of Owls Bruce Wayne into. I really loved that story. Around season 3, season 4, and I really wanted to infuse that with my version of Bruce. But it was a continuing. My point is that I never felt like I had to like, all right, this is going to be my Bruce Wayne. I'm gonna be inspired by Christian Bale and this version, this comic, and it was never like that. It was always a continuing process, and I was constantly watching new movies and rewatching stuff, rereading books, and getting inspired and seeing how that could fit into what was going on in the scripts of Gotham at the time.
Really cool. So it was a construction along the. Like during the process of
it was a journey. It was absolutely a journey. Yeah.
It's really cool that you told me that they take into account the things that you like to see on screen to make it better. So that's great. Like your opinions, that's super awesome. And
yeah, I mean, I distinctly remember like watching like beginning of season 2, there was, I don't know if you remember, in Gotham there was this really like great scene of Bruce's where he teams up with Selina to like pull this whole trick on Silver St. Cloud, and like it's a whole facade, and then like Bruce comes out at the end and he's like, "Hi, I got you. Like I got you to admit what I wanted you to admit." And it's a great moment for Bruce because he'd never like done anything like that before. He'd never actively like gone like against a villain, try to take a villain down. He was always just kind of passive and reacting to whatever, like someone kidnapped him and he was just reacting to that. And it was this really active moment for like the first time in Bruce. And I remember I like, to prepare for that, I rewatched Batman Begins. And I remember I felt so inspired by like some of the things that Christian Bale did. And I was like, okay, I need to use that in this coming scene. And I did it. And on the day, and like the creator, Bruno Heller, was there, and he wasn't usually on set. And he came up to me afterward. He was like, "That was so, like, I've never seen you do anything like that before. Like, that was so good, like so impressive. Like, keep doing that." And because like from that experience, I was early on in season 2. I was like, okay, this is the way to go. This is what I need to do. I need to constantly be getting inspired and reminding myself of the canon that I'm in, and not get too lost in like the world of my version of Bruce Wayne and like the scope of Gotham, but remind myself that like there's a broader fandom here, and that's been growing for 80 years, and that wants to see a certain Batman and a certain Bruce Wayne.
Really cool, and it's something that I can see because of the way that you talk and the way that you tell us that you enjoy that a lot, because you were also, and you are, a fan of the Batman and the comics. So that's really great. Now that we're talking about this creation and who your inspiration was in this, tell us, there is something really amazing in the history of the show, because it's how Bruce Wayne became the Batman. So it's an evolution of the character of yours. So tell us a little bit about this evolution process of Bruce becoming the Batman, and what things, I know that you already said so, but what things helped you on this? Like, you already told us that you watched movies, you read the comic books.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that helped me, I feel like all of that was super important and very crucial to my performance, and like very decisive in what I was going to do. But that was also kind of all like a side thing. Like my biggest source of inspiration, my biggest kind of path to what I should do was just in the scripts and in the writing and in the version of Bruce Wayne that collectively I and the writer's room, like not even together, but just like from them getting inspired from what I did and me getting inspired from what they're putting on the page for me to say and do. That's where like my evolution came from. And it was very clear, like especially once we got into like season 3, season 4, we had these moments like the I'm not like telling Alfred I'm not going to kill moment. We had these moments like where he doesn't kill Jerome. There was the moment where he was like practicing throwing knives as like an early stage of batarangs, and like all those things it was very clear in the evolution of Bruce Wayne, how that was coming about. And all I had to do is just like, come in and do my job and give it some life. But like, my point is that it was very clear in the script, like what was laid out for me. It definitely wasn't a one-man job.
That's amazing. Now, let's put Gotham and the Batman on a side for a little bit, because I know for a fact that you participate in this movie's Game Makers.
Yeah.
The Game Makers that was filmed on Argentina. So I want to know, you, and with your experience, know that you have worked on series that are made on the USA, and this one that was made in Latin America. So what's the main difference? Do you think that there's a big difference, or is the same?
Yeah, no, there's a huge difference. There's a lot of things that are different. So I'm going to be completely honest here. I was 12 when we shot The Games Maker, and I lived in Buenos Aires for 3 months shooting it. We went to Iguazu Falls for a weekend at the very end, but it was mainly in Buenos Aires. And I just don't have a great memory. So like, it's kind of hard to remember from when I was 12. But what I will say is it was that was a very unique experience for me too. Just in general, I'd never done anything like that before because I was working every single day on like a 60-day shoot, 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. I was just always working like I was in every scene. So, and I'd never done anything like that before. So it was very hectic. But in terms of, I'm trying to think, like in terms of like the practical differences between shooting in the States and shooting in Argentina. I think there's a much more relaxed nature in Argentina in terms of like getting things done. Like everybody's like more focused on, you know, everyone's good, everyone's fed, everyone's having a good time, as opposed to, okay, we need to do this by this time and this by, like, it's a little like in the States, it's very like a factory. Like you got to do what you got to do. Every minute is accounted for. Whereas in Argentina, things were definitely more relaxed. Also, like, I mean, the things that all like jump out to me are like specific to this movie, but like we shot in some of the most amazing places. And I'm sure that's just indicative of like all the wonderful, wonderful, like crazy locations you guys have in Argentina. And I'm sure in Colombia as well. Like we shot in these abandoned schools that were beautiful and like ancient. Yeah, just so many really, really cool locations and just really nice, caring people that like kind of took their time with things.
I don't know if you remember Nicolas Rodriguez. I think he was the producer.
Yeah, I do remember Nicolas.
Yeah, I was speaking with him like 1 hour ago because I wanted to know more about how was your experience there in Argentina. He sends his greetings for you and your mom.
Yeah, tell him I say hi as well.
And he told me that you love as well the food there. So you consider yourself a foodie, you think?
No, not at all, honestly. I like don't cook. I don't know how to cook. I don't want to know how to cook. It's like the one thing that I just like, not my thing. But I will always appreciate a good food. I remember in Argentina, it was like the capital of cows. The steak and the leather were insane in all of Argentina. We went to, I don't know if you've ever heard of San Telmo. It's this little flea market.
I haven't.
This flea market area they have in Buenos Aires. Every Sunday, you can go and just get like amazing stuff for super cheap. And I got so many leather products. I have so many wallets from San Telmo still.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now that you mentioned before that you love the Snyder Cut, we have to talk about it. And please. I don't know if you, well, first of all, you like it, right?
Love it.
Okay, perfect. And I don't know if you have heard these theories. Well, it wasn't a theory. I think Zack Snyder said on an interview that the plans that he have for the future of the Snyderverse, it was to make the son of Lois Lane and Clark Kent, the Superman, to make him the Batman, right? So with these theories around the world, and now that the fans have some kind of power, because without the fans, that wouldn't be possible. Like that we were able to see the Snyder Cut. Do you think maybe at some point they cast you for this role?
I would be all about it. I mean, yeah, I have no idea what the feasibility of that actually is, but I'm definitely down. Hit my line.
and how many times have you watched the movie?
The Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
I watched it once fully through, and then I've seen a bunch of scenes multiple times.
That's
the scenes that I really liked. I went back and watched. I actually do. I do this Zoom every week with some friends. It's totally free. I'm like the acting teacher. One of my really good friends is a director. He does the directing. One of my other really good friends is a writer, and the three of us just like get on and we analyze one scene from movies every week. It's called Play by Play. If you go to playbyplay.study, you can check us out, and people just come for free and just hear us talk about these scenes. And we actually analyzed the scene between Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne from the Snyder Cut and compared it to the original one. Talked about what was changed, the nuances, how that over dramatized the scene, like the different styles of Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder. Yeah, sorry, it was a little plug for Play by Play, but I'd love to see new faces come and.
What's the name of the page?
It's called Play by Play. If you look up play-by-play.study, you'll find us online.
Okay, that's I think that maybe we can check it. We can see it there at some point.
We do it every Sunday. We just encourage people to donate to COVID relief and anti-racism charities. But it's a really fun time. Yeah, like no commitment. You can come for as long as you want. Listen to whatever you want. Ask some questions. It's super casual, and we love seeing new faces. So if anyone's listening that wants to come on Sunday, please do.
Now that you mentioned this, that you like to see new faces in that, how was the first experience that you had? Let's say when you the first time that you went to a convention, being Bruce Wayne, how was it? And how was the relationship between the public, the fans? It was I can't tell, or because of the things that we saw in Bogota, that people go nuts.
Yeah, no, it was insane. My first convention honestly was pretty quiet. I don't know why. It was in Orlando. I gotta say, South American fans are a different breed of fans than American fans are great, but doesn't compare to the dedication and passion and the excitement, the pure excitement that you see when you go to. I've done conventions in, I think, Ecuador, Colombia, and Mexico, and just those are the best conventions that I've ever been to. Just so much fun, just so much passion and excitement. Yeah, and comic book fans are like that in general, and it's just really like fun. It's such a fun environment. You really feel like you could be yourself, just be excited, genuinely excited about these characters. People are walking around in their best cosplay, and it's such a supportive, fun environment. Yeah, I miss conventions so much. Virtual convention, something like this is awesome. It's still, I can whip these guys out and not feel embarrassed about it that I'm 20 years old and still playing with these. But I miss in-person conventions so much.
And that's true. We miss that as well, because it's been the last year we didn't make the convention for obvious reasons, and we spent like a day or two like watching videos and photos of the previous conventions, of the last ones, and it's, as you tell us before, it's some energy, it's something that you only can feel it in the moment.
Yeah,
it's something like it's a tattoo for you. And sometimes it's a tattoo for you. And now I want to know about, now that we're talking about relationship between your character and the fans, I want to know, how was it, the relationship that you had with your cast members since the beginning, and knowing that you were doing this for 5 years?
Yeah, it was a really interesting dynamic. It was unlike any other cast I'd been in before, for the main reason that it was, first of all, a 14-person. We had 14 series regulars in the beginning of the show, which is a huge cast. I'd only been on one other show before, and that show had 3 series regulars. So it was like much bigger, like, pool of people that were all there every day doing table reads like together. And second, the majority of the cast had come. A lot of them were from New York, and we shot in New York, and so they were home. But the majority of the cast had flown from different places all over the world and moved to New York, whether temporarily or permanently, for the show. A lot of people came out from LA. I came out from LA. Sean Pertwee, who played Alfred, came out from the UK. So we had people from all over the world kind of being displaced. And for the singular purpose, the only reason that we were all in the same city together was for this one show. And that's something that we all had in common, and that we didn't have in common with anyone else in the city. And we were all kind of looking, like, when we weren't working, like, we would keep each other company, and we would do things with each other. And we very quickly became such a big family, such an extended family. And to this day, like, I still, like, some of the people that I'm closest to in this world are people that I was on the show with. And I'm so fortunate for all of those relationships that I was able to make because of that experience. And also just working on the show together and being a part of something like this was so exciting. Like, some of my most insane memories, like going on a private jet to San Diego Comic Con and getting off the plane and having so many fans and, like, so excited to see us. Like, those are some of the memories that are going to be, like, ingrained in my mind for the rest of my life. Like, some of the most fun, like, exciting, awesome things that I'm going to look back on. And I shared those moments with Sean and Ben. So Just family is like all. That's the one word to summarize this answer. Is just like we really became an extended family.
That's really cool. And now that you mentioned that you had like these experiences going to the San Diego Comic Con and all these weird things happened on conventions. Can you tell us like something funny or something weird that happened you with a fan or in a convention? And as well, can you tell us like the craziest or the funniest moment that you experienced doing the show?
Yes, probably. If I really think these are such hard questions because there's so many like there's so many memories packed in there. Let me think. I mean, I've had some really I can't think of like any particularly weird experiences with fans. Thank God, like my fans are awesome. I have the best fans in the world. Like they are the sweetest, most caring people ever. I remember once like I got this book from I was in a convention in Germany in Munich, and this girl Ella brought me a book of all like a huge book, like pages and pages and pages and pages on of just like she had handwritten like all I guess she had on social media asked people like what they want to say to me, and she had handwritten all of them, like put pictures, put like decorations in. I also like I'm a huge fan of like Rick and Morty and J. Cole, and I remember I got in Dublin I got like this this Rick and Morty like Monopoly set and like Sorry game and like a J. Cole CD. Like people just like really do their research and like get me some.
Yeah, they like know you for a while.
Yeah. And then in terms of funny experiences on set, every day with Sean was a funny experience. Like I miss that guy so much. He had this like he had this way of just being fun and just being easy to be around, but while also like being hardworking and caring about his craft and caring about what we were doing, but also just like being just a great energy to be around. I don't know. It's really hard for me to like pick out specific memories because, like I said, like 5 years of doing something is like it's all like smushed together. But I only have like great things to say about both conventions and set life.
That's amazing. And one of the biggest revelation of the show that the show had was the role that Cameron Monaghan. What's his last name?
Monaghan, I think it's pronounced.
Cameron Monaghan. When he came to the show, it was like a twist. Like no one were expecting that. So how was this relationship with him? Because I saw a couple of videos of you like goofing around and practicing fight scenes together. So what do you think about this character? Because I think he did an amazing job.
Such a good job. Working with him was honestly like one of the like I would say most formative moments of my career as an actor, because he is a method actor, and I'd never worked with a method actor before. I still haven't since worked with a method actor, which basically means that between cut and action, when we weren't filming, when normally like most actors, especially like on Gotham, would be socializing and be by the chairs and talking about their weekends and stuff like that, Cameron would be facing a wall, this close to a wall on set, just like with this maniacal smile on his face, just laughing to himself, like getting in character. And it was intimidating. It was really intimidating, but it was also so what's the word I'm looking for? Informative on like what it means to be so dedicated to your craft and be so in the head of your character. I just learned so much about acting from him just by example. Like it's not even like he told me like, all right, here's how it is, like you got to do this, this, and this. But just by being his friend and being around him and being a fellow castmate, I saw what it really means to act, to like take acting to a different level. And it's something that I really hope to bring back in my like acting skill set and like artillery one day, and I think I probably will.
I didn't know that he is a method actor. That explains a lot.
It does.
Now, do you think that in the future when the opportunity arrives, and meaning that maybe later a new Bruce Wayne came to the show, do you think that in the future a new Bruce Wayne or maybe a new Batman will use you as a reference for the creation of the character?
I mean, what's really cool now is that like that could be happening. Like we're now a part of the canon. I mean, I remember thinking like while I was on Gotham, and while I was on Gotham, Rebirth came out. Like they switched from New 52 to Rebirth, and like it was coming out as I was on the show, and I was like, I loved the Rebirth comic books. Like they were great, you know, Batman and Catwoman getting married, like it was dope. And I was all that, and I was reading it, and I was being inspired by that. And that was coming out like in real time, and I started thinking to myself like, wow, like I wonder if like these artists know that like I'm directly like ripping off like this something that like they just wrote. And like, you know, Gotham's on Netflix. So if Robert Pattinson is on Netflix one day looking for inspiration, like he could stumble upon a scene, and like who knows if that's happening. Like it's something that's part of each artist's individual process, and that's totally up to them, and they don't need to share that with anybody. But what's really cool is that my point is that we're part of the canon now. And if somebody's looking for inspiration, like they could easily go to Gotham, and it could easily be a part of any future reincarnation of the character. So yeah, like it's awesome to know that's a possibility even.
Yeah, and it's really awesome because you feel now, I think so, that you feel proud of your work and what you did in the show. That would be like the proudest when you know, oh, I don't know, if you hear in an interview that someone used you as a reference, that would be like great. For the fans that are looking this live, if you have questions, you can throw them. We have like 5 minutes or so it's your chance to make some questions if you want. And for you, I want to know, now that the show ends, what about your life? What about the projects that you have? Are you working now on different series projects, films, something that you can tell us?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of things. I have some things in the works that aren't quite out yet. I did a movie called The Birthday Cake a couple years ago that should be coming out this year or possibly next. Probably be doing the festival circuit pretty soon. Really, yeah, that's really exciting. Mainly, I'm focusing on school. Like I said, I'm working on some other things that I hope to will be announced in the coming months. But yeah, like I said, mainly focusing on school. I'm going to Stanford nowadays. I'm a sophomore, which takes up a lot of my time. And also, I made the decision when the show ended. It ended just like a couple months before I was going to go to college, and I made the decision that I wanted to take like 4 years off and prioritize college to I'm really only taking projects that I really want to do, that really speak to me, that I would be willing to like take time off school for, because I think that college is just for me. I've always been an academically inclined person. I've always liked school. I've always like gotten good grades, and I wanted to like, you know, see where that part of myself would go, and really give it a chance. And I just think that college is like for me, and I think that the answer is different for everybody. I'm not preaching this to anybody else, but for me, I really thought that college would be just an experience. The things that I learned, the ways that I now think, because I've been exposed to new perspectives, the people that I've met, the connections that I've made, all of those things are things that are going to shape me as a person, and things that I can bring with me throughout the rest of my life, and use those things in my creative pursuits, like acting, like producing, like directing, which are all things that I want to do in the future. And I'm really excited to do those things. And yeah, I just think I talked to Fred Savage before I went to college, and he was on a show for 5 years, the Wonder Years, and then he went to Stanford also. And so I asked him about like his decision to do that, and to not continue with his career, but to take the time off. And he said, I saw myself as being in the entertainment industry for the rest of my life. So taking 4 years off to go to college was trivial. Like it was, and the things that I would learn in those 4 years would be so influential on the rest of my life that it was worth it. And like hearing him say that, I was like, yeah, that's exactly the way I feel. So
and that's super smart. It's super smart to do that. I dropped out. I dropped out my college. but for different reasons, because I started working in the industry and blah blah blah. But that's a pretty smart move, and knowing that you are like so you like to study, that's really great. That's really great and really smart. So we have time here for three more questions of the fans. Let's see if. Okay, Melly Style ask, what was in that letter that Bruce left Selena before he left?
It's up to your imagination. We're not supposed to know. We're not supposed to know. I'm not going to say anything. David doesn't know. Only Bruce knows. I don't know.
There you go, Melly. Use your imagination to know. Okay, the next question. Oh, this is not a question, but Melly, she was the one that made the question before. She said that she's working on a Rick and Morty comic that includes you. So I think this is a fan comic. So
that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's the coolest thing I heard all week. Please send it to me. DM it to me when you're going to
be. That you're going to have to be to. That's a chance that you're going to have to be in the Rick and Morty world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in the Rick and Morty world.
Yeah, and it's such a great show. I don't know if you have watched this new show. It's called Solar Opposites. It's from. It's also amazing.
I love it. I love anything Dan Harmon or Justin Roiland does.
Yeah, they're weird, but they know how to make things.
They know how to make things.
Next question. It's from Daniela Dominguez. She asked, she wants to know what was the hardest scene you have to deal on the show or on your career.
Let me think. The hardest scene I've had to do. I think the hardest scene on the show was probably in the season 3 finale. There was a scene where Bruce kills Alfred, and that was just for so many reasons, like a hard scene, because that, it really felt like the culmination of 3 years of like Bruce's most intimate and most influential relationship, kind of all coming to a head in this moment when he chooses to kill Alfred. He's under the spell and he chooses to kill Alfred, and then immediately doing so, that wakes him up and makes him remember all the memories that he had with this person, who made him the man that he is. And it was just a very emotional scene, and there was so much going on, I think, in Bruce's head. So there was a lot going on in my head. And that was the hardest scene to do for sure on the show. In my entire career, I don't know. That's something I have to think about. It could be that too, but it's something I have to think about a little more.
Great. So, okay, I think we're done here. Thank you so much once again for being here with us, for taking the time for this little conversation. And I'll send my greetings and say hi to your mom as well, because she's super funny. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. And I hope that we can see each other again in the future. If it's virtual, if it's in a convention, whatever it will be great.
It will be great. I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Okay, David, thank you so much. Bye. Okay, wait 1 minute. I'm going to say hi. I mean, bye.
What? No, I am Batman.
I think you are, because this is a fake mask.
It's a very cool mask, though.
Okay, thank you so much again, David. It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.